Welcome to SibSpot. For today's Reddit stories, we're featuring Tales from Retail. The first story today is by 805 Chicken Lady. The Cat Food Lady. Today's weird interaction was a woman on the phone calling about cat food. I looked up her cat food on our handheld. It wasn't good enough. We weren't busy, so I put her on hold and went and looked and came back and reported what cat food in the brand she asked for that we had. Her. The cat won't eat wet cat food. Didn't I say I wanted wet food? Me. Oh, I wasn't aware that brand made dry food. Let me go look again. I walked back over to pet food and shockingly, we don't have the dry food. And I go back to the phone and let her know we don't have any. Her. Well, you've been out for months. How are you gonna fix this? Me. Gives her the hours and numbers for the guy who does the ordering and telling her how to connect with him directly. Her. But what about right now? What are you gonna do for my cat right now? Me repeats what I said. Her. So I guess I'm just going to have to starve my cat to death since you won't help me? Me. I am definitely not going to help you with that, ma'am. You have a nice day. I hung up and I am never answering the phone again. Ever. I love my cat, but I would never blame someone else for starving him if a specific store didn't have what he liked. I think some people isolate themselves from people for so long that they don't have a clue how to interact with people, nor do they know what people are responsible for in a store setting. Story 2 is by Beep Boop Human. The storyteller is definitely not a human. Lady yells at us, then comes back hours later to apologize on someone else's behalf. I work in liquor. We have to do a lot of refusals, so being yelled at and dealing with the aggressive customers is something I encounter almost daily. This was a new one for me, though. A mother comes in with her 2 young girls. Anyone who works in the industry knows that these situations are generally the worst to deal with. Parents can never get past, but I'm buying it, and do not comprehend secondary supply laws. Thus, when we see a teenager and a parent stroll in, we keep an eye on it. If we see the kid pick out alcohol, we can't sell it to the parent. That's what happened here. My lovely coworker explains to the mother why she cannot serve them. Karen does not understand and asks to speak to the manager. I stroll over and get the lowdown from the employee. They've done everything right, but clearly, Karen expects me to come over and correct their incompetence. Alas, no, I back up my employees and explain the legal reason why we won't serve her tonight or the rest of the day. She looks ready for a fight. This is ridiculous, and starts saying a million what-ifs. So what if I left them in the car and came in myself? Then you wouldn't have known, right? Yep, correct. There are indeed ways where you could have gotten away with it if you were smart. Unfortunately for you, this is not the case. She explains it's for an 18th birthday party. The girls are attending and it's a present for the birthday girl. Again, I do not care. She rants and raves some more before throwing her hands up and saying, I can't believe this, and storming out. On her way out, she looks at the wall where we have our liquor licensing laws displayed. She says, 19,000. The amount we'd be fined if we were caught selling to minors, and walks out. Weird, but we laugh it off, saying we hope she's learned something. I tell my employees if she comes back in today, don't serve her and call me over. 4 hours later, I get called back to the front. She's standing there with a big smile on her face. She said she wanted to come back and apologize for her daughter's behavior. They're just young girls, so get frustrated easily, but she explained the law to them and it was a good teachable moment. At length, she explains how she sat them down and said, they're in a tough position, they'll get fined if they serve us. In case it wasn't clear, not once during the whole interaction had either of her daughters even spoken. They just stood there looking humiliated while their crazy mother went off. I kept saying, we appreciate it. That means a lot to get her out of the store, but she held us up for 5 minutes, patting herself on the back, painting this picture of her Hellraiser children and her This beautiful example of understanding and good parenting. Everyone she was speaking to was a witness to what happened. We all knew that's not how it went down. Truly bizarre. I wonder if she was a socially anxious person. Sometimes people who have bad anxiety dealing with people will mistakenly imagine a situation differently in their head. Or maybe her girls really were being bad, but the store employees just never saw it. But she knew. Story 3 is from Fixova 9. Elderly customer acting like a baby because I'm on the phone. I work in a clothing store that has phones at the counter, so I have to take calls from customers. Obviously, if there's a customer at the counter already, I won't answer a call, but I answered when no one was there. Suddenly, when I'm on the phone, an old man comes from nowhere and flings his clothes onto the counter like a 5-year-old. He proceeds to rush me with his constant sighs and tapping on the counter. In an effort to get rid of him already, I tried to serve him whilst on the phone, but apparently that wasn't good enough either. He must expect me to hang up as he takes the clothes out of my hand and starts folding it himself. Awfully, by the way. I think it looked a lot better when he flinged it on the table. So at that point, I just completely ignored him until I was done. If I'm on the phone with a customer, my top priority is the person I'm on the phone with. So you can go ahead and cry. The more you have a sook, the more you're gonna wait. Here's the kicker. After it all, when I tell him the price is $40, he says, "You should pay me $40 since I'm the one who did everything." And then cracks a smile at me as if he was expecting me to laugh with him. I stared at him blankly in silence and then gave him his receipt. Has anyone else ever heard of this phrase, have a sook? Is it a British English term? I've never heard anyone use this word ever. Apparently the word itself, sook, is a female crab. But the phrase have a sook means to refuse to smile and be pleasant to people because you are angry or unhappy about something, like sulking. The day I stop learning is the day I die. The final story today is from Gluttonara. Asked to change clearance price on an item so customer can get a sale. There was a sale on picture frames, and on a sign it says the sales exclude frames labeled clearance. Should be pretty understandable, right? Well, I had a woman with a phone to her ear bring up 2 clearance frames and was expecting the sale on them. I tell her that these frames she brought up are on clearance and not included in the sale. She just looks at me for a long time, then talks to her friend on the phone explaining they are clearance. She asks me, "Can you just change it from clearance to regular price?" I looked at her confused and clarified if I heard correctly, and she said, "Yes, change it to regular price since it will be a better deal." So I tell her, "Sorry, I cannot do that. Once a product is in clearance, we cannot revert it back to its regular price to do that." She then talks on the phone more to see if she should still get the frames and decides she will just take them, sighing dramatically. As I was finishing up the transaction, she said that the sign in the aisle never said anything about clearance not being included in the sale, and I should get someone to fix it. So when I go back to the sales floor and I look at the sign, it clearly says under the sale sign, clearance items are excluded from the sale. It's in pretty big font too, not tiny text like a fine print. If you look at the sign, you can see clearance is excluded. So she just didn't read. I can't think of a single time where swapping the clearance price for the normal price with a sale would make it cheaper. Clearance items are normally already dirt cheap. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not give you more for today. Until we meet again, have a frosty day.